Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for another irrigation training from Jain Irrigation. I'm Richard Restuccia, Vice President of Water Management Solutions at Jain, and I'm really excited about our subject today for a couple reasons. Now, we're going to talk about Senate Bill 88, and this is about measurement of surface water in California. And a few people have asked me, Rich, why do you want to talk about surface water, SB88 in California when this is a nationwide broadcast? Is actually worldwide. We get people from all over the world. And I said, well, number one, it's important because typically what happens in laws in California continue as law across the US, right? Starts in California and moves east. So that's one reason. Number two, and I'm with you on this, Senate Bill 88 was passed in 2015. And I say, wow, why would we be talking about this in August of 2020? And the answer is really important to all of you. So that's why there's been so much interest in SB 88 in the past few months. And the best part is we have Stephen Soares today with us today presenting this information. Now, Stephen's new to Jain, and at Jain, we've been growing like crazy during the last few months. And even though Stephen's new to Jain, he's not new to ag technology. He's actually been around it in the for the last 10 years. Now, 10 years in ag technology is actually a really long resume of time because there hasn't been that much ag technology in the irrigation industry prior to 10 years ago. So that's number one. Number two, Stephen's grown up in the Central Valley of California. He really has a good handle on the intricacies of agriculture in the Central Valley. I know if I was going to start a almond operation or any kind of ag operation in the Central Valley tomorrow, Stephen would be my first call. So with that, I want to turn it over to Stephen. I want to first ask him, Stephen, why all this interest in Senate Bill 88 all of a sudden? What's happening here?
Well, like you said, it was passed in 2015, and most importantly, people have been reporting since 1966. What changes have been made lately is people have been getting fined, and the fines have not been cheap. The initial fine can be up to $1,000 and can be up to $500 a day until the reason you were fined is rectified. So it's starting to get a little pricey for people out there.
All right, well, you've got my attention now. That's a lot of money. And, it is interesting because oftentimes in water regulation, people will put a fine out there, but not follow through on it. And what happens is it becomes, people know, right? You don't follow through, so people don't follow the law anyway. So now they're getting serious with it. And that's why all this attention all of a sudden. So, okay, I get it. I'm interested. Let's hear about it.
Okay. So today we're going to go over what Senate Bill 88 is. First of all, what are the little fine prints about it, what it's all about. We're going to talk about our measurement requirements, our measurement options, our reporting requirements, and most importantly, how us at Jain Logic can help you with these requirements and these options. So Senate Bill 88 is it's a bill that requires you to It requires you to report all your diverted water to the State Water Resources Control Board. Now, this is for surface water, not to be confused with well water, okay? Surface water, whether it's coming out of a canal or a ditch or runoff, that is what this implies to. Senate Bill 88 is for surface water. For water that's coming out of a well, that is Sigma, right? So that is a whole nother requirement. Today, we're just talking about surface water.
Yeah, so I think what's key here, I think for me to remember is it doesn't matter if I'm taking surface water now or well water, either way, I'm going to have to be reporting on this.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, okay.
They want to know all the water you're using for your operation.
Yeah. So
the measurement requirements. Now, there's two different ways that you can measure this diversion, right? It's through a device or through a method. And a device typically would be a flow meter, which is what 99% of what farmers do. Others might use a wear or other, but the majority of us use a flow meter. Now that is the the device way. There's also methods to do it. Now methods, we'll get into the next slide. They're not the easiest way to report, but if you don't have a flow meter or don't want a flow meter, there are methods to measure taking from your surface to your irrigation in the field. And if you do choose to get a device or you have a device, it has to be installed by a qualified individual and it has to be calibrated every 5 years.
Hey, so who's a qualified individual? What licensing should I be asking them for? You know, what makes them qualified?
So any distributor of a device, of a flow meter, would be a qualified individual. So whether it's an irrigation company, all of us at Jain are qualified individuals when it comes to flow meters. All of our subsidiaries are. So anyone who's, it just can't be someone off the street that says, I understand it, I can install it. They have to be a well-known distributor for the flow meter device.
Yeah. So I guess what they're really trying to do is stop the grower from just installing it himself and kind of winging it. It's a little extra
Absolutely.
insurance against that, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So this is what we're talking about. If you're not going to use the flow meter, here are some other methods. Now, some of these methods are very beneficial. Others are very, very tedious and very time consuming. And, just going down the list, I'm not going to go over all of them, but towards the bottom, you see the bucket and stopwatch method. That's comical to me. I don't know any farmers out there that have the time or the patience to fill up a bucket of water, time it, and do that every day or every time they run their irrigation. So, if you can, more power to you, but these are other ways other than a flow meter that you can use. Another one I wanted to point out was remote satellite imagery. I want to pull that out, talk about that, because there's a lot of people that are using satellite imagery right now. In fact, here at Jain Logic, we have remote satellite imagery that we have on our software, which I'll get into later. But like I said, the methods take a lot more steps than the devices. Okay, so like with remote satellite imagery, that's not it. You also have to have ET models inputted. You have to have seamless weather station inputted. And it's put into an algorithm that was put together by UC Davis and the Department of Water Resources and the ITRC at Cal Poly. And they put those three combined with what crop it is, when you planted it, when you're going to harvest it, when you started irrigation, your irrigation frequency, the acreage, do you have crop cover, soil data, you have to have soil analysis. So all of these things have to get put in once a month to make satellite imagery work. So like I said, it can be done, but there's just a lot more steps than if you were just to get a flow meter to measure the complete diversion.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? Because on one hand, we have something as technical as remote satellite imaging and as untechnical as a bucket and a stopwatch, or a floating stopwatch, another one of my favorites. But all important that they're making it easy for people to figure out how to do this, right? They're not forcing you to do it a certain way. But if I'm a grower, I certainly want to do it in the most efficient method, right? Because this could get really expensive, and I've got enough problems. I got enough things I'm dealing with on my my farm, my ranch, to have to deal with this.
And I think it just goes without saying that in California, with minimum wage going up to $15 an hour, there's other things that you could be doing with your time than filling up a bucket of water and measuring it with a stopwatch, right? How important and how important is your time? And if you could put a dollar amount on it, I'm sure the device in the long run is way more economical than any of the methods.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
So the reporting requirements. Now, it applies to all water rights with surface water. The little caveat is it says you have to report once a year, but it is the government. So once a year, but they can change it at any time and tell you, you know what, it's going to be once a month. It's going to be once a week. We need it every day. And it won't be for the whole state. It might just be for your county. So it depends on where your where the watershed is at and how much water you guys have. If you're in a horrible drought, of course, they're going to want your you to report more often than not. So for now, once a year, but it could change at any time.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I was working as a contractor, you know, we had big resorts on the coast in Orange County. And I just mentioned this because you can kind of see what happens in landscape as a precursor to what's going to happen in ag. And so there were times where we had to read a water meter once a week and go to a website and plug that water meter information in so that the water agency could track how much water we were using. It was for two reasons: one, for conservation, and two, you know, we were on these slopes above the ocean and they wanted to really watch the erosion. So you can start to see that people are getting more and more interested in how much water you're using because of what can happen with overuse.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So another side note on this is if you fall in either one of these three bullets, you divert more than 10,000 acre feet per year, you divert more than 30 feet per second from June 1st to September 30th, or you're claiming more than 20% of flow in the sensitive watersheds. If you fall in either one of those, none of the methods concern you. You have to have a telemetry device. You have to have a device. Okay, and for those that don't understand what telemetry is a computer that's in the field collecting the data from the sensors and sending it to the cloud. So in this case, it would be for a flow meter. But if you have a soil moisture probe, or you're monitoring well depth or pre-post filter pressure, weather stations, any kind of data you're getting from the farm, you already have a telemetry device out there.
So if I'm using, you know, 4 or 5 acre feet a year per acre, I'm really going to have to be a sizable grower to have this be a must-have requirement, right?
Yes. Yeah. These are for the really big guys. Yeah.
But what I think is, and maybe you'll get into this a little bit, what I think is, even if I'm a smaller grower, the cost of having telemetry units and having this all automated for me just makes sense from a cost standpoint. And so I don't even care if it's required. Maybe I'll want to do it because it's just so much more efficient.
Yeah, you know, the thing with ag technology is there's so many aspects that we can cover. I mean, yes, it's nice to be able to turn pumps on and off or valves on and off, or to get your ET data or your weather data, soil moisture, or see your flow meter. All of that stuff is really nice, but really it goes bigger than that. I mean, you talk about labor management, like I said, $15 an hour for minimum wage. All this data can help with labor. You know, it's going to get to a point where everything on the farm is going to be digitalized. So it's probably best just to get it started now.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into how us at Jain can help you. So with Jain Logic, we have basically 2 different tiers for combating the SB88 compliance. The first tier is called the Jain Logic Pulse. Now, the Jain Logic Pulse will put a telemetry device at your where you're diverting your water, and if you have a flow meter, it will connect to your flow meter. It'll also connect to pre and post filter pressure. Takes those 3 inputs. It sends this data to the cloud, and you get an email once a day on this data. There's nothing, you don't have to sign into anything. You don't have to do anything. When you buy the product, you tell us what emails you want it sent to, what phone numbers you want it text to. Whoever you want the data to go to, you tell it to me. I'll set it up on the back end. And then once a week, you'll get your email. Another thing that it does is it does alerts. So you can set up an alert for high flow, or maybe high pressure, low pressure, which I'll get into on one of the slides. It'll send you an alert, which is a call, a text, or an email telling you that you've hit that threshold.
Yes, I just want to be clear on this. I don't have to go looking for this information. I don't have to get on my computer and go to a web page or look at my bookmarks or do any of this. It just comes to me.
Yep, absolutely not. And it can go to anyone, right? I mean, you could send it to, if you have an irrigation specialist that you get your scheduling from, or whoever. You give us a list of who you want this data to come to, and I'll set it up on the back end, and they'll get it once a week.
So that's fantastic, right? Because I need an app for my apps these days, right? I've got so many things on my phone, and I don't want to go looking for it. And I know I get some other water use reports every Sunday, and I'm like, this is so easy, right? Because I get a sense of maybe something's happening. I can look at that report, or that report just pings me on Sunday, and then I know. So that makes it so much easier for me. And can I also just send that to the water agency? Can I make them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You can send it to them either once a year, once a week, whatever you want set up. You just let me know and I set it up on the back end. And you know, it says here on this slide, it shows 3 different flow meters that it reads. Here it says Symmetrics AG 2000, Symmetrics AG 3000, and the Micrometer MAG 3000. Those are put there. Those are the most common, right? But all of these read a pulse output. So if you have a dated flow meter or a flow meter that isn't on this list, don't worry. Our engineers are very quick to figure out how to read that pulse and get it to the cloud. And so I don't think there'd be a flow meter out there that we could not read.
Okay, and then you said you set it up in the background. What happens when you're promoted and you're not my representative anymore? What happens then?
Whoever your account manager is, whoever is managing your account, your ranch, they will be in charge of it. And you know, someday if I get promoted, the next person below me will be your new account manager, and they will be able to take care of all that.
Okay, so it's all stored at Jain, organized, and I don't have to worry about it. That's really the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just tell me what you want to get from it. I set everything else up on the back end.
Yeah. Okay, great.
So here's a screenshot of the reports that you get. Now, again, this is the Jain Logic Pulse. This is once a week. You have your pump run time, your water applied, your pre and post filter pressure, just all the basics. And if you look to the other one, it has down on the bottom of the screen, it shows the exclamation mark. That is an alert, high pressure detected. So in this example, we set up the pre-filter pressure threshold at 50. It hit 53 and it sent the alert to them. So you will see that on your report that it did send you an alert, whether it was text, call, or voicemail. So yeah, that's the screenshot. That's what you get with Jain Logic Pulse.
Yeah, that's great. So this is an actual screenshot of what hits my phone or my computer.
Absolutely. Yep. This is the email.
Yeah, that makes it pretty simple. I like that a lot.
Yeah, very, very simple. Very good way to start off. If you haven't dealt with this technology, a lot of people are scared of the technology if they've never dealt with it. But we can either set it up in the simplest form or just super advanced. And if you don't have a lot of experience with this type of technology, we're not going to put you in a super advanced mode, right? That's part of my job. That's part of my account management. I will start you with what I think you can handle, and we'll grow together. And I'll help you get to that next level for your operation.
Yeah, because it can get more detailed than this.
Oh, absolutely. We'll get into it. There's really nothing on the farm that we can't monitor. So we'll get into that here in a couple slides. So actually, right here, this is the next tier. This is the second tier. This is what we call the Jain Logic subscription. So this is actually a software, a web-based software, that if you get this, when you log in, and this is what you see. So if you're doing just flow meter, right, you're just trying to be SB88 compliant, but you get the subscription, this is what you'll see. On this dashboard, you see the almond flow meter. That is, you can sign in at any time. It'll show you real-time data of that flow meter. If you log in and your pump is on, you will see exactly what your flow meter is going through. It is literally real time. One of the good things about this for SB88 is if you look, there's a little report tab there, right? So you can go through and print a report or run a report whenever you want. It could be once a week, it could be once a day. You could just wake up and say, you know what, I want to report today, and you can print it out. Once you go into the reports tab, there's all different kinds of aspects of a report you could put in there. For this one, I chose January 1st to August 11th. You see here, it's the flow meter. It gives me my location of where it's at. Yeah, I put in my APN number. Tells me how many gallons, acre inches, and acre feet that I have. Now this report right here is SB88 compliant. So this is what you would be sending once a year.
Wow, that's really easy. But my guess is this is super expensive.
No, absolutely not. And we'll get into that too. Yeah, it's not very expensive at all. Another thing you get with the subscription is satellite imagery. We talked about this earlier. This is something that we just rolled out with this year. Every subscription site that you have in the field, you can get up to 80 acres of satellite imagery for free with your subscription. Anything over 80 acres would be $1 an acre. So it's really inexpensive. It's per site. So if you have 3 sites, 3 times 80, you have a lot out. You can cover a lot of ground. You have observed ETC, which is what's shown on the bottom. And you can also do vigor, which is what's on the top. And you can also spread this out between the time span. You can say, what's my vigor change in the last week, in the last 4 weeks, or year to date? It's a really good tool to have. A lot of people are paying top dollar for this type of technology right now. And we have now came out and now give it with our subscription plan.
So yeah, I just want to be sure I understand this. Number one, with these reports on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, are they daily, weekly, what are they?
This is the subscription. So this is all real time.
Real time.
Right? Yep, anything with the subscription is real time.
Okay.
But you can also go back. You can look and compare between today and this day last year if you wanted to.
Right. So I can look at my satellite imaging, and this is really important for me if I'm making a change in maybe nutrients, in fertilizer, in how I'm watering, the method or times. I'm going to be able to see in a relatively quick period of time, right? Because I'm going to be able to look at vigor today versus a week ago, or vigor today versus a month ago. And I'm going to be able to see if my adjustments are working.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, you could tell in this top screen that the vigor on the block to the right is a lot different than the vigor on the block to the left. It looks like there might be something wrong with the irrigation system on the left. That would be something, that would be a red flag for me that I need to go out there and test, see what's going on with that block.
I think in the past, I probably had to just wait until harvest time to find out if what I was doing was making a difference. And now I can check it pretty quickly. All right, that's fantastic. So
yeah, absolutely. And you know, like you said in the introduction, I grew up in ag, and there is no silver bullet out there. There's nothing out there that's going to make you just use this one thing and you're going to be the best farmer in the world. These are all tools, right? And we're not going to come out there and say that you know, what we have will fix everything. To run an operation, you got to have all the right tools. And at Jain, we're just trying to give you the best tools available. And this tool, like I said, came out this year, and this is it's a pretty big hammer to have.
So, and then just to be sure I'm correct, so if I get the Jain logic, that includes the pulse information. So I'll be getting my reporting for SB88 or any other reporting I have to do. It's automated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one. Number two, I'm going to be able to see how the water is penetrating my soil, see if I'm pushing nutrients past my root zone, how effective my watering is. That's just one of the many things I know it does, but that's really important. And then finally, I'm going to get the satellite imaging also now.
Yes.
So all three I get with one package.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and I'm glad you bring that up, because here on the next slide, I kind of wanted to go over put on print what the big differences are between the Jain Logic Pulse and the subscription. The Jain Logic Pulse, first and foremost, it's SB88 compliant. That's the biggest thing. It reads your flow meter data and pre and post filter pressure, along with getting alerts. Okay. You get weekly emails on water use and system health, and the alerts through email, text, or call. So it's an entry-level system and it just costs $2,700 and $350 per year. Okay. Now, the difference between the Pulse and the subscription, with the subscription, you get everything that the Pulse gives you. You also get a real-time dashboard access to the software to see whatever it is that you need to see. You get the ability to print specific system reports on anything out in the field, the ability to mesh connect with any other Jain Logic devices on the farm. Now, if you already have a Jain Logic soil moisture probe out in your field, and you want to put something here to be SB88 compliant at your filter, we can mesh to that. We can connect to that through mesh, which means through radio frequency. You would have a yearly subscription on this and a very low yearly subscription on the other. The ability to add pump and valve control on the same device, which is a big deal. You can turn your pump on and all the valves at your filter station. The ability to add any other sensors. Now, with the Pulse, you can do the flow meter, the pre-filter pressure, the post-filter pressure. If you were to get the subscription, you can also do a full weather station. You can do different weather components. You can do tank level, like a fertilizer tank level. You can do a well level, which is really big. Obviously, if you're doing SB88, you're not too worried about a well, but if you irrigate with a well, you can do the well level. Anything that pulls data, you'd be able to get it on your subscription. And of course, like we said, the satellite imagery up to 80 acres per site. And the biggest thing for me is it's just $2,700 plus $810 a year. So when you look at that, you get so much more with the subscription. For the same cost, it's just $460 more a year.
Yes, I have a couple of questions here, just to make sure I understand. One, all right, I get this is for surface water. What if I'm pumping out of a well and I have requirements for that now too? Do I need anything different, or does this work for well or surface?
Oh yeah, works for well too. The same devices and the methods that you're using to monitor surface water diversion are the same devices and methods you're going to use for Sigma.
Okay, so great.
Which Sigma is for the well.
Yeah, okay, all right. This is really good news. You made it easy on me. I appreciate that. Now you say just 2,700. What do you get for the 2,700?
So for the 2,700 is what you're going to get: the telemetry box. You're going to get cloud access. You're going to get the connection cables to the flow meter. Right. That does not include a flow meter. Right. And it includes the wiring and the pressure transducers for pre and post filter pressure and installation. So that 2,700 is out the door minus tax.
Yeah. Well, that's great, because I already have a flow sensor. I already have that. Yeah. I don't have to buy it again. So that's good. I don't have to buy yours. There's a lot of different ones I can use. And then with the Pulse, now this is where information comes to me. It's less than $1 a day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just, you don't have to sign into anything. You just simply get the email, and once a year when you have to send it off to the water board, you can just send it off.
Yeah. And then for the 810 annual subscription, I get all the information from Pulse, the satellite imaging for 80 acres, plus my subscription that gives me the ability to monitor the moisture in the soil and analyze and adjust and do everything I need to do to be a responsible water manager.
Yep. And the thing is, and if you just, like we said, this is the Pulse is the entry level. If you wanted to start off with a Pulse and then later on add on to it and then go to the subscription, we can do that too. There's no change. There's no like you pull out a Pulse system and put in a subscription system. It's all the same hardware. It's just whether we turn on the cloud access or not.
Yeah.
So with the Pulse, you're not getting cloud access because you're just getting an email. With the subscription, we turn that on. There's a little bit more of an annual fee for that because it's going to the cloud every day, every 15 minutes, it's sending the data. So that's why it's a little bit more, but yeah, in my opinion, it's still a great deal.
Yeah. Well, at first, I'm really attracted to that less than $1 a day. But then when I start to think about everything else I get for just a few more $100 a year, I think I want the whole package, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's so much more you can build on that.
Yeah, I don't understand why waiting is going to help me, right? I'm going to miss this year, right? If I wait, I'm not going to have it for the whole season, which is what I need it for the whole season.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great. It like I said, it's going to get to a point where everything is going to be digitized on the farm, and this is a great entry level to get in there and get it started.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that looks great. That's all the questions we had from our Q&A. That was some of the ones that came out of there. So thank you for answering those.
Yeah, no problem. And I also wanted to say that here's my contact information. And if anyone wants to get a hold of me and has any questions about the pulse system or the subscription system or anything at all, just give me a call, email, text. I love to talk irrigation, so shoot me an email and I can get back to you. And also, because of this webinar, we are going to give you the first year subscription of the Pulse. We're going to wipe that clean if anyone calls me. By the end of September, we will cut that $350 a year. The first year, we'll cut that out. So we'll just do $27 out the door for your first year.
Wow, that's really generous. Thank you. I know that helps us get a lot of viewers to our webinars. So I really appreciate you guys doing that. I really appreciate you and your time. And to our viewers out there, thank you so much. I know how valuable your time is as a grower, and to give us some of that time to learn about SB88 and ways Jane can solve that is really nice of you. And I hope we gave you some I know Stephen gave you some great ideas on how to solve those problems. Also want to remind everybody that we're on Google, Apple, and Spotify podcasts now. So we've done over 40 of these irrigation trainings. You can see all of them on our website. But if you don't have the time to actually watch them while you're in your truck, going from job to job, or here to there, as we all do every day, you can still listen on your listening device, whether it be your phone, your stereo, whatever, and you can hear those podcasts there now. So give that a try. Just search irrigation training or Jain Irrigation on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. Stephen, thank you again. You were great today. Really interesting. I learned a lot, and I hope to have you back soon. And thank you, everybody, for attending. And hope you guys all have a great rest of the day. And we'll talk to you soon.